Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 15 Vegas spread pick Saturday. I will be live for all three games. Let's live bet. Let's get this money. Great to be with you. First game, Thursday night football. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Chargers are +3. Raiders to win in the cover. I think the Raiders play better defense, and I do think they play with more desire. I was really worried with some of the things I've seen out of Aiden O'Connell, especially the last two performances last week. It was absolutely terrible. Now, on the other side, Chargers won't have Herbert. They will have Easton, and Easton did play decent at times last week. It wasn't anything special. But I don't think this game is about the quarterbacks. I don't think this game is about the head coaches. I think this is about the Raiders being able to run the ball. And then I also want to bring back Brandon Staley. I don't even want to talk about him anymore because it is just so pathetic that he even has a job. And you see with the verb that the Chargers play with, the energy they play with, it's just lacking, and it's because of him. I think the Raiders win this game with grit and heart. There is no science. Raiders win in the cover. Next game, we got the Chicago Bears at the Cleveland Browns. Browns -3. Money. Last week, Browns against the Jags was a good example of why you need to get on Patreon. On Patreon, we hammered it. Once we heard Flacco was starting, we put our chips on the table and moved them all in. I'm going Browns to win in the cover. I know Flacco will play this week. That's why I feel so confident, and that's why I think this is the best bet of the week. I absolutely have loved this Browns team this whole year. I mean, have I taken some L's? But I've taken more dubs than L's. And when you look at this Browns team, they're built perfectly for the December. You know, it's Christmas, snow, and cold temperatures. They are built perfectly for that. And Joe Flacco gives them a temple to do what they need to do. Now you look at the Bears, and you guys were right about the Bears and Lions last week. A lot of you guys were on the Bears. Credit to you. I have one of the best audiences on YouTube of any type of channel. I'm not taking credit away from you guys, but I don't think that Bears performance was as dominant, was insightful as you guys seem to think. I think this game comes down to gritty play, and this will move up the -3.5. Get your bets in early. I think the Browns are running it, but what we saw of the Browns last week was a pass game that was sophisticated, running every single route on the route tree. I think the Browns picked the Bears apart, and also I don't think this Bears offense gets more than 10, 13 points. This will be a little bit of a grinder. We're not going to see the Browns putting up 30, but I think the Browns get into the 20s, Bears stay into the teens, Browns winning the cover, making a money pick. Next game, we're going this Saturday. We got my Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals. Vikings +3.5. Vikings to cover, Bengals to win. Now, I know that was maybe the ugliest game you guys have ever seen last week, Vikings-Raiders. I watched it. We had the Raiders. We got that push. I do think this Vikings defense isn't something to be fucked with. And credit to Browning for what he's done. But I do think the Bengals defense was the reason why they won that game against the Colts. Now, Nick Mullins coming in for Josh Dawgs. Will it help? Maybe a little bit. It can't be worse than Dawgs. But the main synthesis in this game is the Vikings defense, keeping it close. National TV. And you do wonder, is Browning going to be brilliant 3 straight weeks? Maybe I'm wrong about the kid. I'm not taking anything away from him, but if you're giving me Browning or Brian Flores, I'm going Brian Flores, taking the Vikings with the hook. I think the Bengals win the game, though. Next game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are -2.5. I got the Colts to win in the cover. Last week, they just didn't show up. Special teams was bad. Offense was bad. Defense is bad. Now they get back into their home cooking. They get back in that dome, and I do think Minshew has a bounce-back day. One thing I've been saying all year about the Steelers is I do think you can pick them apart in the secondary. When Patrick Peterson is one of your best defensive backs, I do feel like that is a liability. Now, the Colts don't have a lot of great wide receivers, but we know Pittman will be there, and we know the Colts will try to run the ball. We've even seen games where the Steelers have struggled to stop the run. And when you look at the Steelers' offense, whether it's Pickett, whether it's Trubisky, whether it's Mason Rudolph, I just don't see where we're going to get the quarterback play. And I know Matt Canada was the scapegoat. They threw him out in the middle of town square and blamed him for everything. I'm not saying Matt Canada was a good offensive coordinator, but there are systematic issues with the roster, particularly on offense, that just haven't been addressed. And you can't just fire someone and think Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett's going to play quality football. And Mitch really looks low of confidence. I think the Colts bounce back, home field advantage. Give me the Colts to win in the cover. You do worry about this game, though, because if it turns into a grind-type game, like you remember the Colts-Patriots, we know the Steelers are great in these grinders, but give me the Colts to win in the cover. I think the Colts can put up more points, man. Next game, we got the Denver Broncos. Russell. The Detroit Lions. Broncos +5. Money, money, money. Money, Broncos to cover, Detroit to win. I am worried about Jared Goff. And it's not even like him playing outdoors at this point. The last 6-7 weeks, even when he's been at home, we just haven't seen a lot of zip on the ball. We've seen a lot of miscommunication. St. Brown running a route versus man-to-man. Goff thinks it's zone. And then you're also getting the turnovers from Goff, which have been absolutely back-breaking. And this Detroit defense, they're never going to be a dominant unit. I never thought they would be top 10. But they do seem like they're losing a little bit of their modus operandi. They do seem like they're getting tired and beaten down. And when you talk about the Broncos team, this is a team that will beat you down and grind you out. There's nothing too pretty about it. There's absolutely nothing fun to watch when you watch this Broncos offense, but it's fundamental football. They take care of the rock, and the big star of this team has been Alex Singleton on the defensive side. I mean, I don't know if there's a linebacker playing better ball than him, and I don't know if there's a defense playing more physical than the Broncos. Now, I do think the Lions can run the ball against the Broncos front seven, but I don't think they're going to thrash them for 150 or 200 like the Lions did earlier in the year. And I just think the Broncos will make less mistakes. And I'm the biggest Dan Campbell guy there is. I mean, Dan Campbell pretty much is the reason why I bought a new car from last year and early this year. But I do like Sean Payton in this matchup. Broncos to cover is the money pick. I think the Lions win late with a field goal, but wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Saturday madness. Next game, we got the Tampa Bay Bucs at the Green Bay Packers. Bucs +3.5. And about the Broncos game, that's another reason why you need to get on Patreon. That Broncos-Chargers game, it just came to me Friday morning. I said, we need to bet it. So let's get to the Bucs, Packers. Man, I think the Bucs cover, Packers to win. Now, I do think the Packers will look a little bit better in Lambeau Field. I can't say I was caught flat-footed by the Packers losing. I did think the Giants would cover, but I was a little bit surprised about some of the things that transpired in that game. The reason why I think the Bucs can cover this game is the Packers need to run the ball. They need Dillon going forward, and they need to get Love in good situations. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to run it. Now, you do worry. The reason why this isn't a money pick for the Bucs, we saw Vita Vea is banged up. The Bucs have 3 or 4 starters who are banged up on defense. And you never want to put your chips on Baker Mayfield on the road. But I got Bucs to cover, Packers to win. Next game, we got the Atlanta Falcons The Carolina Panthers. Panthers +3. Panthers to win in the cover. I do. I think they can do it. And this isn't about Bryce Young. This isn't about the Panthers. This is about a Falcons organization that just doesn't seem to be reading from the same hymn sheet. We got an offense that, they invest a ton in the offensive line. They invest a ton in Bijan Robinson, and yet they're not even running it all that good. And we've seen Falcons games where they've thrown it 40 to 45 times with Desmond Ridder, and that's just not a recipe to win. And I think the home field advantage will help. The Falcons just aren't a good team on the road. We've been saying it the last 2 years, and I think there's stats that back us up. And the way to attack the Panthers, you got to throw it down the field, play action. That defense is vulnerable in the secondary, but I'm not sure the Falcons are the team to do it, and I'm not sure the Falcons can play turnover-free football. And I know Bryce Young's going to struggle, and I know that Falcons defense is pretty good, but I do think the Falcons have more will. I do think the Panthers have more will to win this game. Give me the Panthers winning the cover at home with the +3 upset. Next game, we got the Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. Titans -2.5. Titans to win in the cover. Yeah, and I told you last week when we had the Jets to cover, I'm a little bit skeptical about this Texans team going on the road. For instance, the one time the Panthers won was against the Texans. And you look at this game and you see C.J. Stroud and concussion protocol. I know Davis Mills isn't the worst backup in the world, but that's not something I want to go to. And the way concussion protocol has worked this year, it's very rare a guy gets off of it in a week. And I am seeing this Texans team kind of lose a little bit of verve, and we're seeing the injuries pile up. And Tank Dell is a huge injury for this offense, and I think the Titans can exploit that. We know the Titans' weakness on defense, their secondary. You got to throw it deep and often, and you got to really test them. I'm just not sure the Texans are going to get that run-pass balance. I can't see them being able to run it against the Titans front. That's still very good. And on the other side, I don't think this Titans team has given up. Like we saw Levis's performance on Monday night. Am I getting excited about it? No, I'm not getting too excited about it, but I think the Titans will be able to run the ball against the Texans. Titans winning the cover at home. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Patreon, $5 a month. Get on there. Come get this money with me. Next game, we got the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins -8.5. Money, money, money. Money. I'm losing my voice, man. Things winning the cover. Borderline money pick. I don't want you to go slam this hard, but this is something we've been doing the whole year. Fins at home, big spread. We go Fins. Now, the one against the Titans wasn't a money pick, and I felt like 14 was just too damn much. But I don't feel like 8.5 or 9 is that big an issue. Now, Zach Wilson did play a little bit better at home against the Texans. I'm going to give him credit on that. But I don't think that's necessarily going to follow. And then we got a Miami Dolphins team that is pissed off. Tyreek Hill banged up. The Dolphins didn't look good on offense last night against the Titans. I think we see a pissed off Dolphins team, and we see a Jets team that just they can't do much on offense. And eventually, no matter how good the Jets defense is, if you spend 45 of the 60 minutes on the field, you wear down, and the Miami Dolphins win by 2 scores. Miami -8.5, make it a damn money pick. Next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the New England Patriots. Chiefs -9.5. I have no idea what to do with this. Give me the Chiefs to win in the cover. You do wonder how the weather is going to be in Foxborough. I might have to change my opinion about this. But this is a Patriots team that at least showed some life against the Steelers. But we also have a Chiefs team that's battling for their life. And they're battling for position, but they're also battling for respect after what we saw last week against the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs winning the cover, not a lot of science. I don't want you guys betting that. I do think the Chiefs in a teaser would be a good look, though. Next game, we got the New York Giants. DeVito at the New Orleans Saints. Giants +6. Money, money, money. Money. Giants to cover, making a money pick. And this has nothing to do with last night. Absolutely nothing. I had this marked down before the game. I do think the Giants can win the game. I do think the Saints win late. But when have we seen the Saints have two good performances in a row? When have we seen the Saints offense play good against a good defensive team? And one thing about the Giants, we know their offensive line sucks. We know they don't have great wide receivers. And we know this defense is up against the wall every single week. But I do trust this Giants defense. I do trust Wink Martindale, and I don't trust Carr. I don't trust Carmichael, and I just don't trust this full Saints roster. You kind of feel like they're sleepwalking this whole year. Every single week, people say, oh, Lawson, the Saints are going to wake up this week. This is the week they put their armada. This is their Alamo week. When are we going to see their Alamo week? Giants cover. The Saints can win with the field goal, but the money pick is Giants with the 6. You always worry about this Giants offensive line, but they seem like they've gotten a little bit better. That's enough for me to bet them. Next game, we got the Washington No-Names at the Los Angeles Rams. No-Names +6.5. No-Names to cover, Rams to win. I'm just not as high on this Rams team as everyone else, and I did take that out last week on the Tuesday video with the Ravens, lost by a point. We know this Rams offense can cook, but I don't think this Rams defense is all that good, and I don't think they can get pressure on Sam Howell. Sam Howell's biggest issue has been this year when teams are hitting him, when teams are getting pressure, then the turnovers come. I think the no-names make this an ugly game, and I think we see a different type of game plan from the no-names. I think they're going to run it a lot. I think we're going to see more play action. That's one thing they just haven't done. Like, I don't know why they don't run more play action. Give me the no-names to cover, Rams to win. I just feel like Vegas overvalues the Rams. I don't like touching their games, fellas. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cards. Cards +13.5. Losing my voice, man. Sorry about that. Cards to cover, 49ers to win. Now, we're seeing a Cards team that fights, and we know their defense doesn't have a lot of good players. But one thing we know about their defense, they're going to bring their construction hats, and they're going to work their ass off. And you do wonder, do the 49ers start saving shit for the postseason? Does Shanahan and Steve Wilkes really want to dip to the exotics of their playbook and throw stuff at the Cardinals? We did see the Seahawks hang around with the 49ers last week. And I do think, I actually do think Kyler Murray can get some positive matchups against this secondary. How I like to attack San Fran is do what the Chiefs did last year. 3-4 wide receivers, try to hit them deep, spread them out. That's what you need to do. Cards cover, 49ers to win. This is another one where 13.5 division game, Niners on the road to the desert. The fundamentals just don't add up. Cards cover, 49ers to win. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Buffalo Bills. Cowboys +2.5. Cowboys to win in the cover. Listen, I get what people are saying about the motivation of the Bills, but honestly, they really shouldn't have won that game against the Chiefs. I'm not taking anything away. And we know the Chiefs have gotten their fair share of home cooking, so to speak. But I do think this Cowboys team wins and covers. Do you worry about the Cowboys on the road? Yes. And for me, as someone who's been back in the NFL professionally for 5 years, I worry about the Cowboys no matter where the fuck they're playing. But I do think the Cowboys' offense line's the difference in this game, and I do think the Cowboys' run game will be there, and I think it'll be ready. And you saw what Dak Prescott can do when he has a run game. That play-action game is absolutely sick from the Cowboys. What they did against the Eagles is not something to take lightly, and I just don't think this Bills team is all that good. Credit to them. I tip the fedora for what they did last week against the Chiefs. I don't think they do it again. Maybe Cowboys outdoor in a cold Buffalo setting acts as some sort of equalizer, but give me the Cowboys to win in the cover. Next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jags. Jags plus 3.5. Jags to cover, Ravens to win. I think the Jags can beat them this game. I'm not going that far, but Lawrence's ankle did look better than expected against the Browns. He got hit an awful lot. And this Jags team, they've never been a great team on the road, so we can't put too much hay on what happened against the Browns. But you do wonder, is this Ravens defense starting to lose interest? You do wonder that. And if they're starting to lose interest, they can lose this game to the Jags. I think it's going to be a close game. I think this Jags defense will have a better game. They've looked like absolutely dog shit the last 2 weeks. Ravens win, Jags cover with the hook. Next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Seattle Seahawks. Hawks plus 4. I absolutely love the Hawks to cover here. I do think the Eagles win. I don't think it's going to be easy, though. Are we going to be getting Geno Smith back? That's a big question. If we had Geno Smith, this would probably be one I would consider betting. I am worried about the Eagles. I do think there's a lot of gumption in that locker room. I do think there is an awful lot of pride in that locker room. But what Dallas did to them last week, man, it takes some weeks to recover from. And luckily for Eagles fans, you guys got some time before the playoffs to right this ship. But I do like this Hawks team. They should stick around. They got great wide receivers. And when you have great wide receivers, you can exploit the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. They can't cover anyone. And we're starting to see an Eagles team make mistakes. We're starting to see an Eagles front seven get pushed around. I've never seen an Eagles front seven get pushed around until last week. Give me the Hawks to cover. Eagles win with a late field goal. And Monday night in Seattle, that's some tough home field advantage. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Best gambling show on the internet will be live betting Saturday. 1 o'clock Eastern time will be live betting all those Saturday games. Let's get this money.